So I'm going to get on with the Astrodoodle now and start welcoming a few folks as they show up or not. We'll see. I think we've already got a booking. Let me just double check here. Let's have a look. Oh yeah. So we've already got a booking from Mr. Ross. That's great. That's a good way to start the show. So let me go over here, because in a minute we're going to basically I'm going to do the Astrodoodle first before we do anything, okay? And we'll work our way through it with some music. I can't really play my own songs right now because my computer has reached a certain point of it's beyond middle age, and it needs a complete overhaul with the heaters and the coolers, especially because it's summer here right now. I can't keep up with the pressure of my transmissions. Hope you don't mind. Sorry about that, folks. Let's have a look here. All right. Where's my Sharpie? I'm using so many Sharpies these days. So let's just keep going, all right, folks? Let's leave it for that a second. I just want to check in with everybody just briefly while we're here. A couple of folks around. Thank you for visiting. Thank you for dropping by. Let's see now. Where are we? Okay. So this is one of those Sunday Night Live things. If you're here, thank you very, very much. I know it's hard for people to find anymore because of the way the channel is operating right now. I can't control it, so it's just sheer luck that we're still here or that you're here at all. Okie dokie. So good evening, welcome. This is Lumination, Sunday Night Live, mini readings by donation. It works quite well. And recently we had a few new visitors. That was fun. It's always exciting and fun to have new visitors. It's quite courageous when you think about it, jumping into the pool. Oh, Gregory, you did it. Oh my God. Oh my gosh. Well, let's wait till a little bit later to see if anyone else shows up, and then you can maybe give us a hint of the story if everything was okay. Because it looked like a very kind of tenuous, shaky reading, like, I'm sure I want to do this. Gosh. Yeah. Thank you for the donation, by the way, Mr. Ross. You've got your magic post-it note. Alrighty. Now let me get on with things. I'm going to go back to the Astrodoodle, complete it, and then we can kind of go forward from there. Who knows who'll show up? Maybe we'll have Necessary Truth, regular. Ivona is a regular. You gave a rousing speech. Oh my God. Very well received. Oh, fuck yeah. Hero. You danced with the little ladies. Yeah, that's great. Because it's a huge deal. It depends. I mean, for some men, marriage is very, very important, and they're very honorable. But some guys, no. So it's probably. I'm sure you did everybody a favor there. Big fun Friday night. Awesome. Oh, that is so good. I'm so happy. Thanks to your speech. Oh, wow. Okay. See, there's the value of the Illumination Sunday Night Live mini readings. The right reading at the right time with the right person, with the right reader, with the right client for the right reasons. Yay! Thank you so much. So, I'm going to get on. Made my friend Alan, the father of bride, very jealous. Oh, really? He was curt and didn't return the call. Oh, you probably stole the light. Oh my God, the father of the bride, and then there's you, the godfather. You just swan in there like, hello, hello, hello. Oh, okay. Oh, so you didn't go to the actual wedding itself. So you did the after party. Oh, okay. That's where they do this thing, isn't it? Isn't that where it's very famous, where people stand up, half of the folks are drunk, they're parties, and you kind of go like this. Ting, ting, ting. Sorry, this is a full glass of ice water right now. It doesn't ting very well. Wow. Interesting. Very interesting. Oh, wow. Wow. That must have made you feel really good. I'm sorry that some people like, I mean, obviously the dad, I mean, who knows what the family dynamics are, but if the dad was jealous that you came in and stole some of the light, you know, stuff happens in public settings. Just look at what happens in Hollywood when they do the Oscars and everything like that. Whoa. Sometimes people can't handle it. Their egos get in the way. Wow. All right, so I don't know who's going to show up. In America, it's very hot. In Las Vegas right now, it's probably about 111, 112 outside right now. That is scary heat. So really, I just spend my life moving from one air-conditioned location to another air-conditioned location through an air-conditioned car. And it's very difficult to do because the cars, and it's a Japanese car, and it never gets this hot in Japan. And the car is built to handle air conditioning challenges up to about 95 degrees. And it works great up to then, but when you go to 115 degrees, I'm sorry. Anyway, let me get back to the astrodoodle. I'm going to, basically I want to put in the aspects and the transits and all that kind of stuff, okay? So please bear with me. Alright, so... Alright, let me get on with a little bit of the doodle. Hello, Path, I see you there. Reverse racism, oh God. All that stuff. God, how... It's pathetic. I don't know, if people just... I don't know what to say, really. Like, human beings are so stretched right now, financially, emotionally, spiritually, locationally, astrologically. People are just like ripping apart at the seams. Their body, minds, hearts, and souls are, it's like they're, you know, like a piece of old furniture that comes apart and all the seams start ripping. The fluffing comes out, the frame is exposed, and all the joints are broken. That's what I see is happening, you know. And it's very, very painful for those people who are falling apart. So they end up projecting their pain outwards. Starzy, greetings. So let me just... Okay, so as you can see from the screen, we've already got a preliminary donation from Mr. Gregory Ross, and I got room for 2 or 3 more. Now, if anyone's interested in getting a private, well, it's not a private, it's a very public, mini reading, you can donate directly. If you have your PayPal already, you can send it over here to my email. I'll just write it out again to be extra sure. I had to do that before, so I'll do it again just to be extra sure in case anyone's out there wants to do that. A little book about at yahoo.com. Okay, so that's where I am right now. Okay, so there. If anybody wants to, you can donate here directly using your own PayPal. A little book about at yahoo.com. Thank you very much. It'll go straight through. There's other ways you can donate. I have to keep going through these routines because I don't know who's out there watching who hasn't actually signed in on the chat or anything. Gregory and Starzy and Path Traveler, they all know the routines very well. Let's see. So here's the other way. Yeah, you can. Some people like to use multiple devices at the same time. Like if you're watching this on a tablet or a computer and you have another device like a phone or whatever, you can go to terralumination.com and you can go to the donate page, click the donate button, and the payment processor will come up, and it is a PayPal payment processor. Try saying that really quickly. And you don't have to have a PayPal account to do it, you know. You can just swipe a card like you would if you had an Amazon or eBay or one of those places, you know. So it's pretty straightforward. And typical donations are like $10 and above and so on, but sometimes I'm flexible because, you know, everyone has different situations, circumstances. Okay, so number one, through the browser. Right there at terralumination.com. Other way is direct email, PayPal to my email, a little book about at yahoo.com. And please don't bother with the super chat because it won't even reach me, okay? It won't reach me because basically YouTube is keeping the money for itself. So please don't bother. They're not paying me for anything now. Okay. Oh, look who just showed up. And Jeffrey. Jeffrey, greetings. Jeffrey, my God, that was a heavy reading last week. Do you remember that? And so, yeah, that was a really heavy reading. But it's sort of like the readings was like a very pure reflection of what you were already dealing with. It's like I wasn't doing any kind of mediumship or anything. It was just an affirmation that you, when I look at it, things like that, whether you're having a good time or bad time, it's an affirmation that you are absolutely on path. So that's a very, very good thing about last week's reading for you, okay? Yep. All right. Gosh, it's been pretty freakish lately, has it not? So we just had, some of you remember, we just had the, gosh, where's all my pins and everything? Damn. So I did a video during the week about all the stuff that was really concerning me because it was really, really piling up to a crescendo right on the full moon on Wednesday. And it spilled over through Thursday and Friday, but now everything's starting to mellow out here on Sunday. But those 2 weeks, you know, from the Cancer new moon to the Cancer full moon, where the moon is in Capricorn, and man, whew. So that at that moment, a few days ago, that's kind of when I made that video and I posted it. The moon was up here in Capricorn, and I kind of gave these tips that the United States is going to reach like almost like, the way I see it, it's like being a very bloated, a very unhealthy country that we have here in the United States right now, and it is like an exploding. It's almost like a cartoon creature, that just gorges and gorges and gorges on its surroundings because it can. That's how it stays alive. And then it gorges so much that it explodes. It just can't contain itself. And so now we have this spillage all over planet Earth that I believe is ultimately tied to the status quo that is tied to Pluto in Capricorn around 27 degrees, which is intimately connected with all the global central banks and the World Economic Forum and all these. I made a list. I did a whole video about it a few days ago, so it's probably easier if you just watch that video. It is an hour long, and I didn't mean it to go that long, but once I got rolling, I couldn't stop. But I really had to lay it on really thick. Now, we've kind of got past that point, and just for today, when I look at moments like this, we're getting a little bit of relief, okay? We've still got a very powerful opposition between the Sun and Pluto, okay? Forget about the Moon. Sun and Pluto, hard opposition, with Mercury and Pluto, hard opposition. So this is extremely aligned with the birth chart of the United States of America. It's becoming very obvious all across planet Earth, every single country on Earth, that their destiny and their near future and their last 50, 70, last 120 years, but especially the last 30 years, have been so intimately tied to the United States, whether they like it or know it or not. That's the power of the folks at the very, very tippity top here. The folks at the tippity top of the status quo have built this incredible structure that has become, I would say, grotesque and overbuilt, and they just want to keep doing it, and they've reached a zenith. They can't go any further. So to me it feels like it's downhill from here on, and everything. It's a very, very Plutonian type of dynamic energy that we're dealing with all across Earth as the United States degrades in order to rebirth itself, which is basically what's happening. It's like the Tower card here with the Pluto return. And it's going to drag on for years. This is going to be roughly a 20-year cycle. In between my fingers here, this little gap here, it's going to be about an 18 to 20-year cycle as we live through this in the United States. And it's going to profoundly change the United States and the rest of the world. And as that happens, in about 3 years, 2 or 3 years, Pluto's going to move into Aquarius and eventually stay there for about 20 years. And at the same time, in the early chapters, Uranus is eventually going to start creeping into Gemini. So everything's going to become very, what I would call, when you add the air signs together like that, the Aquarius, Gemini energy, and you refer it to the financial markets, everything's going to become digital. Digital, everything. CBDCs, the Fed coins, or we're looking at the ISO 20022 stuff. We're looking at, basically, on the shadow side, we're looking at global imprisonment of humanity through the global banking system. That is their goal, okay? And there's enough momentum building up now with we the people who are starting to figure out this is really, really bad news. And so just in perfect ordinance with nature, there is kickback, and the kickback is already starting. And this is how we deal with it. You can thank Love Triber for this little bumper sticker. We the people are the cure. Yep. Alright, so. Alright, let me put that over here. So right now, America is in the spotlight all over the world, especially about how dysfunctional It is. And we, the people, have not only allowed it to happen, we've been duped, fleeced, manipulated, scammed, forced into the highly corrupt and very, very sick, condition that we have in the United States right now. The United States is very, very sick. It's like a very, very sick patient in the long-term intensive care unit at a hospital, and it's convulsing and twitching as it tries to survive and reconstitute itself to be this awesome power. But it's blown itself up. And America's still amazing, but if you go back to that video I made earlier this week, you can see that things are going to shift. We're going to end up in a multipolar world. We're no longer going to have a structure where the United States is the center of all things financial, including global trade, commodities, currency markets, banking, and everything. Everything's going to become multipolar. And that's a big problem for the bankers, the big banking system, because they like having monopoly. They like having vertical structures, and they like having... So it's going to be very interesting because along with this 20-year journey, cryptocurrencies are going to become more and more dominant, and they represent the money of the people. They call it gold. Gold is what they call God's money, is gold. People's money is silver, but I think my feeling is that there are certain cryptocurrencies that are going to spread all across the world, and it's going to change the way the global financial system operates, and we can't stop it happening, okay? All right? So, let's have a look. Today is the 17th. So we've got about 2 weeks, okay? We've got about 2 weeks here, this little time period here. So I'm continuing to give people updates and alerts and reminders. Around August 1st, we're going to have a hotspot right here, okay? Just letting everybody know. So it's about a little over 2 weeks, time to start preparing, because somewhere on planet Earth, either in the global financial markets or political spheres, there's going to be massive, sudden, violent upheavals. I don't know what they're going to look like. If anything, it might resemble what we've been dealing with over the last few months, as Mars went through Aries and Mars conjoined, Mars squared Pluto. It's inevitable, people. I hate being like the bearer of doom and gloom, but Mars is a very strong energy, represents the self, the energy of the self, your right to be yourself, your right to be you, your determination to be you, to go get what is yours and do what you have to do to be you. And that includes protecting and defending yourself if necessary, up to the point of using violence. In Mars, there's a reason they call Mars the god of war, okay? So, all I'm suggesting is when you've got Mars conjoined Uranus here, please be prepared for whiplash, shock waves, random chaos. I would say mostly in the financial markets, and also in the climate, with bizarre, who knows what it's going to be, more floods, fires, more sabotage, more exploding farms, more exploding gas plants, more exploding trains, more, all these kinds of things, all right? Just giving you a heads up. And then we've got, let's say, July, August, September, October. Then we got 3 months and into November of extreme volatility, okay, as Mars transits all through here. Again, I'm just giving you a heads up. And we'll focus in on the details as we go through it, but please be prepared. Prepare yourself as much as possible to stabilize your life as much as possible, okay? God, I have to drink so much water just to stay balanced. All right, let me just check a couple of things here. I want to go over doopy-doo. Yeah, doopy-doop, doopy-doop, doopy-doop. Got that. This might be one of those very short shows tonight. And I'll just be hanging out with everybody in the chat. Let me go over here. Let's see what's going on in the chat. Okay. So right now we got a reading set up for Mr. Ross. Let me have a look. See who else who's showing up. Hello, Queen of Water down there in Australia. Oh my God, are you affected by the floods? You know, I think you're in the Melbourne area. And I know Sydney had a lot of problems with the floods. Karen Clark was here. She just connected with me. She wanted to check in. She's down in New Zealand, and as you know, they had a big earthquake. Well, fairly big. She didn't really notice it. She wrote to me and told me she didn't really notice it, but they had a earthquake right in her neighborhood. Okay, so as you know, so right over here is New Zealand. It's winter time in New Zealand right now. Up here is what they call the North Island, and right there by the tip of my pen, that's the New Plymouth area. And they had a 4.0 earthquake there, and that's exactly where Karen Clark hangs out. Okay, so she didn't notice it much, but Australia has had absolutely terrifying, destructive floods and fires recently. New South Wales. Where is the New South Wales NSW? Yeah, so you had a lot of flooding, and you've got all the warm sort of surfer land up here. But I think the floods were down here. Is that right? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, LINA from Argentina got in touch with me recently. I think she's enjoying the cooler weather down here. Argentina, of course, is having a very, very bumpy time with inflation. Inflation is spreading like a wildfire all over here, 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 here. It's really bad. China is in deep, deep trouble right now with their debt crisis, which is exploding all across their whole country, which of course is going to affect the rest of the world. Remember that the United States is deeply in bed with China. China is deeply in bed with the United States. And it's a very ugly relationship, the way I see it. But anyway, I don't want to, dwell on the doom and gloom so much. This is where all the violence is going on. Well, you can't really see it here on that map. Can't really see it here. I don't have a map pulled up for live demonstrations for that, because I can't do them the way I do them on a recorded show. So, yeah. Let me go over here. Let's go over here. So, path traveler often has that. What's that expression, Path? Stay in your own lane. Well, often I get that advice, and it's like a constant reminder. And Path is really good at it, because I think she has learned the hard way that you can have a much happier life when you mind your own business and stay in your own lane. Don't look for trouble. Don't let trouble come to you. Don't attract trouble. Of course, when you say it like that, don't attract trouble, guess what happens? Because it's a double negative. So you're reaffirming the trouble. Duh! There was it last week? We had a couple of guests And one of them, I think it was their first time getting a live mini reading, and it was this fellow, I think his name was Aviv from Israel, and he was having a hard time with himself. He was really down on himself, and he was trying to understand the phenomenon of you create your own reality. You are what you think, having become what you thought. It's a really tough concept to digest and understand, but when you really extend it out there, it's very pure. And a lot of it centers around the words, communication. So, for example, when I was a kid, I had religion around me everywhere. I don't have it really anymore. But when you look at the 10 Commandments that they have in Christianity, they have like, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that, which, kind of makes sense. It's full of common sense. But what you're actually doing is affirming the negative. Don't do this. It's like the universe doesn't care. All they hear is the energy of the thing that you're talking about. So what I try to do with like neuro-linguistic programming, try and say that, neuro-linguistic programming, what I try to do is accentuate the positive. Whatever that song is, that's a really old song about accentuate the positive, okay? And he was having a rough time, and we spotted something that came up in the chat, and I identified it as a classic example of self-destructive language that you're constantly radiating out to the universe. You don't even know you're doing it, because it's so natural and it makes so much sense when you're doing it, but you're actually undermining yourself with your own language. It's a very, very hard thing to learn. It's very hard to diagnose. It's very hard to cure. But it is totally curable. You just have to want to do it and put in the work, because it means having to have a complete brain reset. Okay? What's the other one? Look at that. Swim in your own fishbowl. Jeffrey says, I've got myself a bag of XRP. I refuse to sell, so I'm ready. The Simpsons makes me feel like I'm living in the... I'm just catching up with everybody on the chat, okay? So give me a second. Path Traveler, that was the comment. Stay in your own lane, or swim in your own fishbowl. Like it. Okay, so the south and the west are burning up right now. Also, don't look in the rearview mirror. Whilst moving on. It is the rear view mirror for a reason, right and true. Okay, we are in a minute. You did a live for 2 hours, Queen of Water, on another app doing readings and healing chats. You're very, very brave. Lena is encouraging me to use TikTok. There's Twitch. You can't do this on BitChute or Rumble or Brighteon or any of these wonderful alternatives, or Truth Social or Telegram or Twitter or anything like that. Or maybe Facebook. I think you can do Facebook Live. Yeah. You're very, very, very brave. Okay? Yeah. You're very brave. I've never been able to function with Facebook. I don't know if you're using it, but I've heard it really works. Really works well for some people. Okay, and TikTok. Well, I still have a lot to learn. I feel like I'm always trying to catch up with things. I'm fully aware of it. For a fact, I do have a Facebook account. I have a TikTok account. I have Telegram. I have Discord and whatever. I have Twitch account. I have I don't have BitChute, but they're all viable. But like one of the folks that I like, he says it's hard to get the viewers. TikTok is different, so I understand. One of the reasons I'm a little scared of TikTok is because I'm very, very anti-CCP. And the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, harvests vast amounts of data through TikTok to find out how the American psyche is operating so that they can use it against us. There you go. Oh. Straight after somebody copied. Yeah. Yeah, I used to have a lot of thieves stealing my content. It went in different phases, Queen of Water, so I understand. There's a lot of criminal stuff that goes online, cryptocurrencies. Oh my God, I wish I could do it live right now. I could show you an example what happens of a real live crypto scam. The popular scam is called a rug pull. This is when a bunch of very, very, very smart techie people create an extremely credible crypto token, crypto coin, and make it look like it's going to be really, really valuable. And all you have to do is get in now, put your money in now, bide your time, put up with the growth period, a little bit of buying, selling, and eventually you're going to be a multimillionaire. So these kids did it with a crypto called Squid token, and they connected it to this very famous popular Netflix game called Squid Games or something like that. I'm not a gamer, so I don't know. But none of this relationship actually existed. The developers just created the token out of thin air. It's totally worthless, totally meaningless, but it had an apparent value. And the website and everything is absolutely brilliant. You would never have known that these guys are a bunch of fakers. And so they set everything up for, I don't know, months and months and months and months. And then when the time was right, some certain buys and sells were made, and you could see the chart value going up, 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 and up, and up, and up, and people were buy. And so there was millions and millions and millions of dollars piling up now in the Squid token. And when the owners, the developers decided, you know what, it's game over, let's just cash out and do another one. And so because they owned the bulk of the coins, they sold all of them simultaneously, and the owners cashed out for about $5.5 million in 1 minute. They took everything. They destroyed $5.5 million of money from other people and took it for themselves. And this all happened on the Binance exchange. And Binance was caught off guard. Binance can't recover the money or anything. Binance is essentially sitting there in the middle, a neutral party. But this stuff happens every day. Okay? Yeah. Celsius and Lunar and the Voyager thing went down as well. Yeah, a lot of scary stuff. We're still in the birthing phases of cryptocurrencies, and it's going to go on for, I would say, about 20 years until things stabilize with digital money, and hopefully real money. A lot of people are aiming and hoping that we go to a commodity-based financial system where anything that's tradable as currency is actually supported by real live stuff. Because at the moment, the whole world of fiat currencies is based on the American system of fiat currency, which has no backing of anything. There's nothing. There's nothing there. There's no gold, there's no silver, there's no steel, bronze, copper, timber, orange juice, coal, minerals, houses, real estate. There's nothing. The only reason the American dollar has any value is because the American federal government says so. I mean, how insane is that? But anyway, that's the world we live in now, and it's starting to unravel. It's starting to look like this painting behind me. So there you go. Yeah, Path Traveler, for example. Anybody who's watching, Path Traveler is really on top of this stuff. You know, very scary stuff. Oh, here's another thing. Where was it? Let me just go back here a second. Path Traveler sent me a link to an astrologer that I really love. I'm not in contact much anymore, but she would know me, and I guess in theory I could get back to her. But anyway, that's Lada, and she was introducing an astrologer that she found and met online, and he has about 800, or no, what is it, 85 subscribers or something. But he's a financial astrologer, and he charges like he charges $400 for a reading, okay? And he kind of does what we do here, kind of does what I do in personal readings. But what this fellow did, so he was invited to hang out with Lada on her show, and they did a live stream. They recorded it, and they did a live Zoom together. She recorded it and then posted it on her channel. And it was all about, again, the United States, the Federal Reserve dollar, and how things are coming unglued. And you've got to watch the astrology and certain hot spots and dates and up cycles and down cycles, and housing and real estate and all of that stuff. It's very, very interesting. It makes me feel like I'm not insane. So this guy was good. He was really, really good. There's other different types of financial astrologers that are extremely hyper complex. And there's this one thing that they talk about when, in particular, when any planet goes what they call out of bounds, there's always financial chaos and turmoil. But especially with Mars, okay? Just letting you know. Tricky thing to measure. You have to have a really good computer system and powerful software to measure when the planets do this thing called going out of bounds. And I don't really know how to do it. So I don't profess to, I wouldn't dare consult people on that stuff. But it is a marker. I mean, this astrologer guy, he can't tell you what to do, but he can give you information and dates where you can expect more opportunity or more trouble, sort of what we do here. Now, everything's local, by the way, with real estate. I learned that. Cheers, everybody. You know what I think we should do? I think we should get on and give Gregory his reading, because he's been very patient while I'm rabbiting on. And then if we want to, we can hang out and chat a little while after. I don't see any more bookings coming in anywhere from anyone, so we'll leave it at that. I can't make you book readings, okay? Yeah, you'd have to get some pretty, there's a few books out there, Path Traveler, and they discuss every degree in each sign. There's 30 degrees, and some of them have certain very specific themes. And I don't know too much about them. I'm very aware of the mid and the high 20s. I'm very aware of the 0 and the 1 degree marks. I'm very aware of the 15 degree mark. Those are very, very specific degrees where you really have to pay attention, okay? Ivona! Hello, Ivona. Okay, so here's the plan. We all have our problems. We all have our issues. If anybody wants to scroll back through the notes, who was here last week, you'll see that Gregory did a very brave thing, going to Houston to be the godfather to the young lady who was getting married. And apparently he did an outstanding job, and he was very well received. But the dad was kind of like stealing my light, huh? That's how I understand the notes. So I'm glad that went well for you, Gregory. It's quite a big trip to get down there. But what I'd like to do right now is to, get on with the reading, get Gregory his reading, and then we can come back here and hang out. We'll hang out for a little bit. If anyone else wants to get in with a little mini reading, they'll have a bit of time to do so. And we'll go from there. Okay, how about that? So, okay, let's clear up here. Let's clear some space. I'm going to put all this over here. A moment. Out of the way. Our solitary reading for the evening. And we're going to do the good old-fashioned tarot illumination. Situational spread. Oh, you know what, Queen of Water? Wait a minute. Give me a second. Hi, Karen. I see you. Greetings. Yeah, I sent you an email, Karen, so we can do a personal one. No problem. Don't you worry. What was I gonna say? I just oh yeah, Queen of Water. So, Queen of Water, you said you were a lot of your reports were hijacked. 4 of your videos, fake accounts stealing your videos and pretending they're you. Yep. So it's very interesting that just happened to you, because it just happened to me. I just got hold on, Gregory, give me a second. I just want to clear there. That just happened to me. I just got an email from Google YouTube saying, giving me a long list of all these YouTube channels that have been using my content, pretending, they just insert it into their shows. I mean, I've done it a couple of times with videos. I'm very reluctant to do that because I don't like being flagged. I mean, you have to be very, very careful on YouTube with copyright issues and content ID and things like that. There's all sorts of algorithmic content trackers, and they're scrolling constantly through millions and millions and millions of pounds of data all day, every day, 24/7. And if there's glitches or somebody is spotted stealing from someone else without permission, it comes up and goes onto your account, and they tell you. And they will tell the offender, and they will tell the provider. For example, I was informed, like I just said, that a whole bunch of people have been using a pile of my content. I can't really stop it. There's a setting on my channel where I can press a button which stops people doing anything with my content, but I have a feeling that that shrinks the algorithm favor even farther than it is already. So I just kind of leave it wild. I know I'm being poached. I know people are riding on my back. I'm kind of used to it, being attacked and theft. You know what? Have you ever seen really big fish, like especially whales and dolphins and sharks close up, but especially whales because they're very big, and what happens is they have a whole ecosystem that lives around them, and you can see very old whales. They're typically covered in barnacles and seaweeds and whole systems that have grown up over the decades where these other animals live. And they just live there, and the whales get used to it. It's kind of like parasites in the wild for wild animals in Africa and the jungle and so on. They're often very covered in parasites and bugs and flies and worms, and that's just day-to-day life. Sorry about that creepy subject. How did I get onto that? Path Traveler says, TL, take that as a compliment. Okay, I will. Thank you. Okie dokie. All right, so Gregory, let's do this. Actually, in my heart, I feel all really fuzzy and warm about you and for you, because you're such a good man, and you've helped so many people. You can't help yourself. Again, like almost all the regulars here, who come to visit this channel and who've supported this channel so much over the years. You're a bit of a compassion junkie. Your heart is very big and you can't help yourself. And sometimes other people can't handle that. It's almost how they interpret that is a weird thing. Some people, they don't understand the attitude of gratitude. Like the father of that girl who got married, he could have decided, you know what, why man, this guy Gregory is really pissing me off. He's stealing my life. But he could have swallowed his pride and said, you know what, I should be damn grateful that Gregory's here. But that didn't happen. Testosterone, man. Well, it goes both ways. It's not just men. Women can be, they can turn on each other just as much as men can turn on each other. Hello, Karen. Yeah, we can follow up. Oh, you want a live mini reading tonight as well? Okay, no problem. Let me get my Sharpie. Thanks, Karen. So New Zealand, like everywhere else in the world, is starting to feel the shock waves of what's been happening in America and Europe, in the global financial system, the political system, all these really bizarre things that are going on, where there's this huge push for global totalitarianism. It's right in your face. They can't even hide it anymore. All these big events in Davos recently where they are openly calling out the subject. Okay, I'm going to shut my mouth now. Sorry about that. I don't want to go there. I don't want to ruin the show by talking about that stuff because it's really disgusting. And I see it. Well, it's just humans being humans. You can't help them. Those folks at the very, very tippity top of the global ecosystem, they can't help themselves. They just want more money, more power, more control, and they're trying to figure out how to do it. Right now, as you know, I believe that most of humanity is farmed. Most of Americans are farmed. We are, as humans, we are farmed for assets, for value, for energy farming. And the energy is harvested in the form of debt that is repaid to the people who issue the currency. And the people who issue the currency are trying to create a new model which takes the whole thing even farther. All right, let's have a look here. Let's have a look. All right, Gregory, so unless you have anything really specific, I'm going to go blind. I love to do blind readings because it's like we're verging on mediumship, and it's fun. And I don't have to tell everybody I'm a medium, and I can lean on the cards, My gosh, I wonder if there will ever be a day like I was daydreaming about in 2018 when things were very, very lively on my channel, and I was thinking that, oh my God, I'm going to make a ton of money and I'm going to put it into a retreat and a reserve, and we're all going to hang out in real time. All right, there we are. Bless this deck, bless every single card, bless the technology, the lighting, the cameras, all the softwares, all the cables, all the monitors, the computer, blah, blah, all that stuff, the electricity, the actual platform itself that they call YouTube, and the owners of Google, and all of that, they do wonderful things, but they also abuse the wonderful things in ways that I think are a little inappropriate. But we're still going anyway, all right? All right, here we go. All right. Here's the situation. Here's the challenges. here's how we're going to handle things. All right, now let's have a look at external influences. Now this could be anything. It could maybe feel like it's something very personal, but very frequently this will trigger an impression from the planets, specifically the transits of what's happening right now, the way the planets are aligned right now. Now, just before I pull that open, I just want to share something. I get all my news from alternative sources, and then I bounce it with a little bit of mainstream just to sort of get validation and a balance. Now, when the planets go whizzing around, they create patterns. I call it sacred geometry. And from there I make my astrodoodles, okay? Now, Uranus has been a really big focus of attention because Uranus in Taurus, I feel, is very, very physical. It's very, very noticeable. And at around the 15, 16, 17, 18 degree mark where we are right now, I see it as extreme volatility, shaking up across the global financial system. Taurus, second house. Uranus in the second house, Uranus in Taurus, and all of the worldly things of this earth, the physical matter of earth. That means things like money, gold, silver, your currency, your value, your values, stuff, things, houses, water, timber, all the physical matter of earth. It's going through massive shocks at the moment, reverberations, and we, the people in humanity, are trying to wake up and catch up with the meaning. And the meaning, the way I look at it, the meaning is that everything's being shaken up because it's natural. And so it's up to us to deal with it. There's nothing good or bad about the planets or what they do. They're not evil. They just are what they are. They do what they do. And they create very powerful gravitational pull. That's how they stay in orbit. This is a geocentric chart, but the real solar system pivots around the sun. So with geocentric charts, of course, we experience retrogrades with everything else that's in orbit. Now, a lot of people all over the world have been noticing extreme climate changes, especially accelerating and expanding recently. And when I was looking at the charts, Path Traveler mentioned something a while back. It's already changed. We're not so much there anymore, but there was a short period when things were very amplified, where a lot of the planets were in their own domain. Where was it? Neptune in Pisces, Mars was in Aries, Mercury was in Gemini, and so on. But the point I want to get to here is that all the planets were lined up on just one side of the solar system from our point of view. Now the moon is over here. Now when the moon is over here, it changes the gravity and the dynamics a bit. But when everything is on one side, it puts a lot of pressure. Now just think about the moon itself, okay? The moon itself, we can observe very, very easily its impact on Earth. You can watch the tides, okay? It's so obvious, okay? And the tides are simply a result of the moon pulling the ocean towards the moon as the moon rotates around Earth, okay? That's just one piece of sacred geometry in action. It's very precise. Very, very, very precise. The tidal charts can be calculated very precisely and so on. But it's the same with each planet. So when you get everything lined up on one side, it makes everything very lopsided. Sometimes we get really tight stelliums, clusters of planets, and that creates a real push and a tugging, like these tug of wars that go on. And so I just wanted to mention that for now, because everything is on one side of the chart. Okay? So I wanted to mention that before we look at this. All right, Gregory? Thank you very much. 10 of Pentacles. Wow, thank you. Yes, what about the recoil of this trip? Well, it looks to me that you look like uh, in I guess there's a sort of I'm going to do something very crude now. We've got Capricorn, Taurus. Okay, now it's in a very loose. I haven't put. It's in a very loose sextile here. They're like a loose trine sextile. Earth to Earth, very nice. Earth to Water, Pisces, very nice. Water to Earth, Pisces to Taurus, very nice. So this is very harmonious, very harmonizing towards material, physical stability and substance, okay? And it might be a breath of fresh air to you and for you because you probably need it as much as anyone else. So when I see the Ten of Pentacles here, my feeling is though it's that you've had a sense of what it feels like to be, let's say, extremely highly valued and integrated in a family dynamic. That's one aspect of this card, and I think that's very much it's like this is to me. This is like a big hug from the universe to endorse through a live reading right now how valuable you are to the people that you help, especially and including the young woman who just got married and for whom you gave a rousing speech and for whom everyone was grateful except the dad. So let's put all that into the Ten of Pentacles. But also, to me, it makes me feel that it's very important that you don't neglect yourself in this picture, because there's so much, in a way you could say there's so much abundance around you and associated with you, and it's other people's money and other people's abundance, but you have a right to your own abundance as well. And so my feeling is there's another big gentle hug here from the universe. Please, Gregory, don't forget about yourself right now. You deserve all the abundance that you're really worth, okay? So just like last week with that other fellow, please find ways to reduce whatever it is you do to undermine yourself that inhibits the Ten of Pentacles to manifest in your life more easily. It's an absolutely gorgeous card. Let's have a look at the situation. Okay. Wow, we've got the Justice card. My feeling here is that this is kind of like an about time message here. And for some reason, I think it's something to do with this wedding, where it's almost like you had a chance to really shine, even though you didn't want to. And my feeling is that this is how folks saw you. And you brought truth into situations that are typically or very frequently shrouded with illusions and delusions, okay? A lot of people have a lot of illusions and delusions about marriage and life in general. And when someone like yourself comes along who can administer justice in a very pure way, in a very neutral way, where there's nothing personal about it, you're bringing great value to others. That's how I look at this, okay? Now, it's kind of like, I feel like I've almost like short-circuited the reading here, because it makes what I'm feeling from here is that you also are an expert of very subtly undermining yourself without knowing it, in terms of self-worth and value and ultimate like accumulation. Okay, now remember, Uranus is in Taurus right now, and so the second house of money for the whole of planet Earth is lit up in a very powerful, but in an extremely shocking, unpredictable, maybe surprising, very exciting way for some people, and very frightening and bad for others. So what I'm suggesting here, before we even go any further with the reading, is that please enjoy the comfort right now. I hardly got it illustrated, but let me do it again. For now, at this very moment in time, please enjoy the comfort. I'm going to actually pencil it in here. Please enjoy the fleeting comfort that exists in this piece of sacred geometry here. I believe this is very supportive of you and for you, so you might as well take advantage of this. What is wrong with my pen? That's fine. I'm just trying to write in a very weird way. Anyway, take advantage of that while you can. And also, now it's going to be weeks away, but the moon is going to end. When the moon is up here in Scorpio, I'm not even going to try and predict when that's happening. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, 14. About 3, 4 weeks. Anyway, forget that. I don't know. I don't have my ephemeris right in front of me, but please, we'll speak again before the moon gets into Scorpio. But by the time the moon gets into Scorpio for you, Gregory, I think it's very important to take some time. I would, suggest, like, if there's any way to pull back from the front lines of life. You're typically very engaged with clients and contracts and having to go to war on behalf of other people. If there's a way that you can sequester some time for yourself where you can literally rest, daydream, rest, and allow messages that you need to hear to come to you unfiltered, okay? I'm not saying we can do that here live right now, but to me it feels like it's really important that we set that up for you. You want to look about and learn about the recoil of this trip. Well, the recoil, I think, is part of it is to do with recognizing yourself as the wonderful character that you are, and the wealth of knowledge and abundance that's very measurable that you've brought to others in a very neutral way. I mean, you didn't have to go. You didn't even want to go, but you did. And you did those folks a real favor, and they appreciated that. And I think the purpose of this reading partly is so that the reading itself is an affirmation that you're pretty awesome at certain things, and it needs to be acknowledged and recognized, especially since you're so used to going to battle where you are facing vicious opponents who are constantly trying to shred you, rip you up. Okay? So let's see, how do we go forward here? For some people, it's very hard to accept their own awesomeness, and some people are naturally so humble. It's like being like a compassion junkie, like Tina Miller, for example. She's very compassionate, very giving. I don't know what she's up to right now, but last week she was hopefully getting that new job. Okay. Anyway, let's have a look. What's the problems here? Gosh, we've got these really big cards. Okay, so with the Hanged Man, my feeling is that you're kind of not used to what just happened to you. You're used to having so much conflict. Well, you obviously got a dose of conflict at the wedding from that fellow's, from her dad. But it must have been an extremely satisfying, delicious feeling to know that you were highly appreciated and brought out and you delivered a speech that contained tremendous wisdom and knowledge that's valuable, whatever aspect, whoever you were in that room, regardless of whether you're the girl getting married or not. Everybody in that room obviously appreciated. If you're getting applause like that from everybody, they obviously all got something from this same message. Okay, the one message for the girl. And my feeling is that there's a part of you which is like very shy and unused to such, let's say, open recognition or value or being valued so openly without any strings attached, that it's very disorienting for you. And that makes you start to figure, my God, well, what am I supposed to do now? How have I been looking at myself and my life and my world for the last few years, even the last decade? And maybe I should, think of a new way of really completely reconfiguring my life. But what does that look like? Oh my God, I have no freaking idea. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. But maybe you're feeling it. And sometimes, what I was talking about earlier before we pulled this card, I think this represents the deep fear of surrendering yourself to that which you need to know, which cannot be known without surrendering yourself to a complete inversion, where you basically, it's like my little song, I Surrender, like you give yourself over to the healing power of love, on the understanding that it's infinite and it's there for you. Might as well take advantage of it, because that's what it's for. You're not really taking advantage. You're just allowing yourself to receive the healing power of love, to receive love as an energy field. And of course, a lot of people are experts at keeping that stuff away. Okay? A lot of people have been very badly hurt in life, and it's very hard for them to understand or recognize love as a frequency, as an energy. And when they put up force fields around themselves, especially if you're a professional at putting up force fields and going to war for other people, it might make you very, very hardened on the outside, like a very, very tough shield on the outside, which makes you almost impenetrable to be able to receive love, being able to receive love. And so receiving love, which is the applause is symbolic of being loved, okay? Be loving, be loved. It must feel a little bit weird. And now I just saw something on the chat. It says, but you've got lots of legal things going on, and I was so glad to move forward. Yeah. Wouldn't that be amazing? Just imagine with the legal stuff, okay, the justice card, let's say you're in the courtroom, and you get a similar experience where, you get one of those freak events, think of Uranus and Taurus or something like that, all the Taurus energy here, and you're in a court setting, okay? I'm just really stretching the reading, okay, Gregory? I can't help myself. But just imagine you're in a court setting, and you're going through all these legal things, all the chicanery and the shenanigans that goes on in courtrooms, and how to get done what has to be done. And let's say you get done what has to be done, and the courtroom is like, wow. And they can't help themselves. I would ask you to imagine that for yourself. Just picture yourself in a courtroom where the typical courtroom decorum and structure, where everybody's like this. Imagine that blows away for a moment and the emotional cracks open and people kind of go, whoa. And they don't care about the courtroom protocols anymore. That's what I'm trying to imagine here for you. Give yourself permission to imagine good outcomes for you, to the point where you talked about the recoil from that trip. Let's say the recoil from that trip is a message and an affirmation that you're pretty freaking awesome at what you do and how you do it. So that may be a surprise to you. It's a badge of honor. Wear it proudly, but very discreetly. And get on with the legal stuff. Big legal stuff. And please understand that you're awesome and you're appreciated, because you have been loving and now you have been loved. So it's this is reciprocal. I think that applause was very, very, very important. It's probably something that you needed to feel and hear and sense at a very, very deep level in your soul, because you're used to going to battle against people who hate your guts. and they're trying to destroy you in a court. All right. Anyway, so how are we going to deal with this? Because you might not be used to feeling good and then carrying that with you on a permanent basis. Let's have a look here. Let's have a look going forward. Yeah. Okay, so I've got the Ten of Wands. Okay, this looks to me like you don't have a lot of options right now except to keep going forward anyway. Like you've got so much momentum built up from over the years of how you have lived your life up to this point, okay, where you are a man of the law. You do an excellent job of representing other people when they have a lot of problems, okay. So that's like it's been your day job. You've taken it on and you're still there doing it. But what I'm sensing with the Ten of Wands here, it's like it's time to understand that, I think we've talked about this before, like start looking at this as a time in life where it's very important that you recognize that you have created this for yourself. Like all the wonders of the Ten of Pentacles here and all the applause and the appreciation at the wedding and that trip and the bizarre, let's say, awkwardness at trying to understand your own awesomeness and how you're going to reconfigure that going forward so you don't have to live like this anymore. Okay, with the Ten of Wands, understand is like this is not a solution. Okay, going forward, to me this looks like a reminder. Let's pretend I'm an auto technician. All right, this is, I use that analogy quite a lot. Okay, pretend I'm your trusty auto technician and I know every little trick how to keep you going, like a bit of WD-40 here, psst, 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 spiritual WD-40 here, 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 all of that stuff. Spiritual workouts here. Anyway, translate that to all your body is a vehicle, and your body, your mind, your heart, and your soul exist in this physical thing, your body. Physical reality, Ten of Pentacles, whatever. And going forward, and over an extended period of time, you have built up this, what I would call a habit or a lifestyle of taking on a lot of burdens, especially the burdens of other people. And you made that a career, a job. As an attorney, you're representing other people. And maybe you weren't as well compensated or rewarded as you could be or should be, but it's not the end of the world. But again, back to the automobile repairman analogy, pretend I'm that guy, and I'm looking at you, I'm saying, Gregory, okay, your car's got a bit of mileage on it, all right? It's the only one you got, okay? So you got to keep this thing going, all right? At the moment, you're loaded up, and that's how it is, okay? But there's a lot of pressure. So in order to keep going, it's very, very important that you understand. You've got to reveal it to heal it. Pretend I'm the guy who's doing the revealing so that you can do the healing on yourself. You need to hear the message very loud and clear that you're overloaded. You are overloaded. You have overloaded yourself. And that's just been a standard practice for so many years, for so long, that becomes your standard way of being. You don't know anything else. And it's just like a friendly, tap from the auto tech, like, you can't keep doing this to yourself. The solution is to be aware that you're overloaded, and you've been running like that for a long time, and it's taken a toll. It has taken a toll, and it is taking a toll, and it will continue to take a toll unless you make deliberate steps to find a way to reorient your life to downsize and offload all the heavy pressures, the external pressures of clients and dealing with other people's money, other people's problems. and start to, I mean, this is long-term stuff, okay, I'm talking about here with this reading. And that's why I feel like the reading has to be quite gentle with the Ten of Wands, so that you understand this is just a kind of reminder. Your life is not falling apart because of the Ten of Wands. You're going to be going forward just fine, but it's just like I'm saying, like you can't keep, if you look at it as a car, literally, you can't keep the trunk loaded, you can't load stuff on the roof, you can't keep all the passengers and the extra passenger seat full, all loaded up permanently all the time. It puts a tremendous pressure on the suspension, the clutch, the transmission, the engine, the brakes, all of it, okay? So it's time to turn a Ten of Wands into a Two of Wands. That's the way I look at it, okay? Now, the Two of Wands not there. You know how we like, when we're doing private readings, we like to go forward and play. Let's just leave it like that for now. I think the message is clear enough. All right, there we go. Thank you so much, Gregory. I'm just going to put on a little tune so that we can shuffle up here, get ready for Karen. Thank you so much. Yay. Go, Karen. Hello, Path. All right, let's have a look. All right, so there we are. Karen is over here in New Zealand. It's probably quite chilly there right now because they're having their winter, the earlier parts of winter. We're broadcasting from over here in Las Vegas. Isn't that amazing? It's amazing that we can do a tarot reading like this. Boff, boff, live, real time. Just amazing. I love it. Oops. All right. Let's have a look. Cards are very well shuffled in advance, and now we're just going to dive in. Okay, so what kind of messages do we have here for Karen tonight? I think we've got a few seconds available, Karen, so if you've got a particular subject matter in mind, fine. You like to go wild. That's what I like about you. It's very brave. It takes a lot of courage. I always feel it takes a lot of courage for people to take a wild reading, because sometimes they come up with very delicate, awkward subject matters that a lot of people don't often want to talk about. But again, you've got to reveal it to heal it. And this whole channel, I mean, it sounds weird, but it's ultimately about healing, you know? So, if you look at it that way, you know, I don't have any credentials. I don't have any letters after my name. For example, I have an amazing sister. She's a successful veterinarian doctor, and she has so many letters after her name, going from, you know, degree this, degree of that, PhD this, master of this, master of this, doctor of this, doctor of that. It just fills up a whole line on an envelope. It's crazy stuff. I love my sister dearly, and she loves me dearly, but we're very, very distant. We have completely different lives. And she doesn't even believe in the power of prayer. She doesn't believe that prayer exists, which I felt is very strange, because in her own way I feel that she's a very spiritual person. She's extremely artistic. I don't get it. Anyway, she's a healer. She's a professional healer for animals. She's very, very good at it. Very, very good. Anyway, she likes to sail boats around England and the Atlantic. All right, let's do this. But over in England, as you know, talking about England, there's England, okay? I used to live there for a while. So England is sort of as far away, where the equator is right here, okay? Okay, there's the equator. England is way north, okay? New Zealand is way south. Now, over here in the way south of New Zealand, they have ice and snow on the mountains and everything. Up in the North Island, here, they're getting close to the tropics, you know, so it doesn't really freeze up very much. But I've traveled here, so I kind of know what goes on a little bit. But so, like right now, New Zealand has winter, England has summer, and England is having the hottest summer ever on record. Ever. Hello, Necessary Truth. Yeah, back to the maps. Yep, good old maps. I love my maps. All right, let's have a look. What kind of messages do we have here from Karen tonight? I think we just cut them already, but it looks like we're doing it again. Things happen for a reason. Here's the situation. Here's the challenges. Here's how we're going to handle it. Now, a lot of the folks here tonight are what I would call regulars, and we start to learn about each other, and all of us have our own, I don't know, healing capacities and abilities, because half the people are natural compassion junkies anyway, or they're all, like Robin's Realms Reading, she comes here now and again. She's an energy healer. Queen of Water is a healer in her own way. Karen, through her art and business, is a healer in her own way. Necessary is a healer in her own way. It goes on and on. Gregory is a healer in his own way. Love Triber, Path Traveler, they are healers in their own way. It's not conventional healing, but they give so much because they radiate so much love. They are loving, they are loved. And we all operate, we all resonate at those frequencies here. And it's, you know, this isn't like, you know how I grumble sometimes about it's such a tiny audience, and there's how can you make a living and all of that stuff. And some people say, TL, don't worry about it. Everything's supposed to be the way it is. And the people who are here are supposed to be here and all of that. And that's great. I really do appreciate it. But I do remember a time, like before I started the channel and in the very early days of my channel, where things were just going like this, whoosh. And I just assumed I would go in the direction of like, the way that some of these really successful yoga places would go. Where when I was doing all this sort of weird advanced yoga stuff, like 8 years ago, but it didn't go that way. Because what I learned is a lot of those yoga places, they are very, very intensely focused on business and the money, and the yoga is just there for something to do, give people to do, to get in the front door and throw in as much money as possible. And we don't do that here. So I just want to say thank you for everybody for being here, because I think the reason we're here is because we all sort of operate on the same frequencies, like a walkie-talkie. Love Triber just got some new walkie-talkies. The only way you can connect with each other is by being on the same or very close frequencies. So that's kind of what it's like here, okay? Yo. Yo necessary. Yo. Alrighty. Let's have a look. Surrounding energy. I'm typically defaulting to the sacred energy of the planets, but you never know. Look at that. We've got the Lovers here. So, Karen, to me it makes me feel as that you've got a lot of stuff on your plate, and you've got some, the classic would be like big decisions in front of you. And especially, let's say, regarding key people in your life. Who exactly is on your side? And, oh gosh, I don't want to be too mean here, Karen, but it feels very much, feels a little bit extreme to me. Like, it's time to look at your world around you and look at it in a very, very simplistic terms. Who's with me? With whom do you resonate? Because if you're not with me, then you're against me. Okay, that's a little, in some ways that's a bit idiotic. There's a guy called George Bush who used that phrase, and it caused a lot of trouble. But sometimes it really helps to just put everything in black and white, right? And it kind of helps to resolve the decision-making process. For example, I have a very, very dear friend. He's a classic Libra. His sun is almost conjoined Pluto in Libra. So guess what? He just loves people, and relationships are incredibly important to him. And the last thing he would ever do is make a really hard decision to do this or this, because it would upset the status quo and make things uncomfortable and unpleasant in the relationship dynamics. And he's always calculating the potential outcome of decisions regarding relationship dynamics in his life and his world, with his family, with partners, and so on. And in some ways, because it's so extreme, there's a lot of power when you have Pluto conjoin the sun, and you put that in Libra. It's beautiful when it works, but it's awful when you're looking at the negative expression, the energy aspects that you haven't yet integrated or don't know how to handle or understand. And I love this guy so much. We're like brothers. We're literally like blood brothers. And I haven't seen him in years. He's very sick right now. Well, no, he's not, but he's dealing with a very horrible condition. It's very hard to control his body. And I think a lot of it is from years and years of piled up stress in relationship dynamics, where because he's such a nice guy, he's such a good guy, and he did not like disruptions in relationships, and he was so loving that he ended up being a victim of relationships. And you got to make your choices. And it's always been very, very difficult for him. So Karen, what I'm feeling here for you with the Lover's card is that without going into really deep reading with you or anything, it's very, very important that you look, like you look at your life and your world around you. Like everybody knows that you have this art business where you celebrate Maori culture in New Zealand. There's a family, there's a neighborhood, there's clients, there's customers, and then there's all these like authorities up in Auckland, like the bosses of the arts councils of New Zealand or whatever. And all of these characters are characters in your life, sort of like characters out of a Netflix episodic TV series. And they all are moving around. You move around their life, they move around your life. And it's at the point, my feeling, you're at a point where it's really important that you start to be really tough and firm about how you stand with these people and how you allow them to stand in regards to you. For all I know, maybe you have a very Libra aspect or something which makes you very diplomatic and accepting and, let's say, tolerant of things that other people would not tolerate in relationship situations. Whether it's a little tiny thing with a child or whether it's a really big thing with like the government or whatever. Okay? So that's what I'm sensing here. So what I'm sensing for you, Karen, is that it's very important to just take a snapshot of your world right now and look at it in terms of a collection of people, like a cast in a TV show. And you're the star, you're the director, the writer, and the producer of your show. And I think it's important to consider how, this is going to sound really blunt, how you have allowed all these other characters to interfere with the storyline of your life, the life of Karen Clark, almost to the point where your life is not on your own anymore. Your life is at the mercy of all these other characters. And it's time to recalibrate. Now, you can't just suddenly say, oh, like I'm a movie producer, you're all fired, get out. It's just, you just need to be aware of who all the, let's say the top 10 most important characters in your life, for better or for worse, the good guys, the bad guys, the good girls, the bad girls, all of it. And formulate an opinion about all of them and what they mean to you, what you mean to them, what they mean to you, and just observe, okay? So that you can basically get back. I mean, I'm really serious here. Oh, wait a minute, I just saw a note on the screen. I'm trying to leave a couple of groups so I can focus on myself and my family and my business. Excellent. Okay, well, that's a classic example. Here's another way to look at it. Because I worked in Hollywood for 20 years, okay? And I was always in these like secondary positions where I'm supposed to be invisible, but I actually have to do stuff that's very visible. So it's diplomatically awkward. But it was very easy for me to observe when there's trouble above the line. Now in movies and TV, above the line means everybody who works above the line. And the line distinguish those above and those below. Above the line you have the writer, producer, the director, and the actors. Okay, that's it. Below the line is everybody else. That's the lighting, the crew, the casting directors, the agents, the editors, the cinematographers, all of that stuff. That's below the line. Now, in your world, the Karen Clark world, in the world of Karen Clark, in the biography of Karen Clark, the Karen Clark show, okay, you are the writer, director, producer, and actor. And if you're at a point where you can look around, you realize, oh my God, it does happen like where producers lose it, actors lose it, directors lose it, writers lose it, and everything starts to fall apart. And the writers start telling the producers what to do, and the engineers are sending gossip up to the directors what to do. It turns into chaos where you're no longer the writer, producer, director, star of your show because it's being hijacked by everyone else exerting their own influence. And that happens almost invisibly. And when that happens, there can be a threshold where the show falls apart and they can't run the show anymore. Literally, the whole show will dissolve. They have to cancel the show. And so obviously you don't want that in your life. So that's what I'm sensing here with the lovers. It says you've got to make some really tough decisions. It's almost like you've got to be ruthless. And you can't afford to worry about the consequences or if you're hurting someone else's feelings, or if someone can't handle it, that you are making really tough decisions to do what works for you. Okay? All right, let's have a look here. What's the situation itself? Digging in. Okay. Oh, Karen, this makes me feel like you got no one else to blame except yourself. Okay? You're a very good person. You put out so much time and energy and goodness. And you do it because you can. Okay, there's a lot of one's energy here. So it's very powerful. It's very, very strong. But it's almost like you give too much people too much power. And eventually that power gets turned against you. And you end up kind of at the mercy of everyone else's dysfunction. And some of the dysfunction is because you are strong enough to be able to tolerate everyone else's mediocrity and everyone else's dysfunction. And then you end up in this position where you look at your life around you like, oh my God, I've got this massive situation here. Of course I'm going to be okay. But I have to be honest with myself. I've brought this upon myself. Okay? So what? Let's see. Tricky, tricky, tricky. Now what's the problem here? Alright, let's have a look. Oh gosh, of course. 10 of Wands. Okay, so to me it's very obvious that you can just see it in the mirror. To me it feels like when you're alone at night, it's the end of a day, perhaps a really, really tough day, and you've been very diplomatic, trying to deal with life, business, clients, the government, customers, the accounting, management, partners in businesses, other artists, all of that stuff. That's a tremendous burden, and to me it feels like you're looking in the mirror and you're being honest with yourself. I don't know if I can take this anymore. I have to admit I can't take this anymore. But you don't want to admit it, because admitting I can't take this anymore, I've reached a breaking point. I am reaching a breaking point, and if I don't do something, if I don't make some very, very tough decisions, I will end up breaking my own back, and that's not acceptable. Okay? And so it's almost like the last thing you want to see, the last thing you want to hear anybody telling you, or even hearing yourself say it to yourself in a mirror, is that, oh my God, I've reached my own breaking point and I've brought it on myself. Holy bleep. Damn, how did I let it get that way? Damn. So what are we going to do about this? All right, Karen? You know what has to be done. You're going to make very, very tough decisions. But sometimes it's the how. Whew. Okay, you're going to have to put on your boss girl pants. You're going to have to... Okay, look at it from an extremely physical, practical, material perspective. And that includes time and energy. If you look at your life, okay, that amazing character, Scott Peck. Remember, I've talked about him a few times on the channel. He wrote this amazing book called The Road Less Traveled. And to me, it's one of the best books ever written. It's like a little Bible. I haven't read it in years, but the core message resonates. Okay, give me a second here, Karen. With the King of Pentacles here, my feeling is you have to understand, sort of like, it's not quite like Gregory's reading, but with the King of Pentacles energy, it's now time to, get out of the bathroom, close the door, get yourself together for the day, and understand that you're going to have to conduct yourself as the King of Pentacles. So it's a very strong masculine energy, which is okay, even if you're a woman. Okay, there are some very, very successful, very, very capable women on Earth, and in order to function, they have to kind of wear the cloak of a very masculine energy in order to survive in a world that in many ways is heavily dominated in the physical, things to do with money and so on, business, by men. So my feeling is that no matter the gender of other people, it's very important that you assume the robes of the King of Pentacles, where you understand that it's taken you a long time and a lot of work to get yourself to be who you are, how you are, why you are, the way you are today, where you have a very high degree of integrity and respect in the community, in the world around you, your surroundings. Not so that you can say, I want you all to bow down now in front of me. I'm not talking about that at all. What I'm suggesting here is very important that you understand that these pentacles are very, very valuable and they are not to be squandered. Okay, the King of Pentacles knows more than anyone else that these pentacles are extremely hard earned and they are not to be squandered. They are only to be expended in ways that they generate profit and return. Okay, this is not about charity. You plant seeds on rich land where you want things to grow. Like you said, you want to get back with family. So that means allocating time and energy and love. Okay? Love, according to Scott, can be kind of defined as the deliberate decision to go out of your comfort zone in order to accommodate the spiritual and physical and worldly evolution of yourself, number one, and your nearest and dearest. And sometimes that has to be done at great inconvenience, perhaps to yourself or to some others. Okay? So if you are realizing, if you take out a calculator, think of the King of Pentacles having a calculator, and it's very precise, and you have to calculate how much time in the day do I have, how much money do I have, how much energy do I have, how much love do I have, because love is as love does. Love is expended in real time as though it's money, as though it's water. It is used and it is expended. And you want to be loving, of course, in general, but in this particular case, be loving where it's respected and valued and it's reciprocal, where you already know it's reciprocal, or if it's not reciprocal, you can plant seeds so that you get reciprocal love. Okay? So the King of Pentacles, you're going to have to be, it's very physical, it's very material. Like, look at your life as you've only got so many hours in a day, so much money in your pocket, so much resources with your skills and talents, so much energy that allows you to be loving, which allows you to be loved. And you're going to have to be, I would say, almost ruthless in how you get done what has to be done. And if you have to cut, then you cut. The King of Pentacles would have no remorse about having to cut out what is not healthy. The King of Pentacles would hold court and basically say, without any offense, they're not trying to hurt anybody's feelings, like, oh, we're no longer working with you. Thank you very much. It's the end of this. It's the end of that. Thank you, thank you, thank you for your time, your service, your engagement, all of this stuff. And it's very, very tough to do that. The Queen of Pentacles would have a very hard time to do that. So I think that's why the King of Pentacles energy came up here. It's an indication that you need to be extremely strong, utterly ruthless in making these tough decisions, but not ruthless in any manner to hurt anyone, but utterly ruthless in terms of making really firm, tough decisions where you're not left with this whole pile of Libra, like, oh, maybe we can like find a middle ground. No middle ground, okay? No middle ground here. You're gonna have to just necessary said, be the CEO of your life, okay? That's what it is. Be the CEO of your life. Make the tough decisions. Do the tough decisions. Executive. Chairman, Executive Officer. That's what it stands for. CEO. The Chairman, Executive Officer. The CEO of your life. You're the one who you're the decider. You are the decision maker. And when people make a decision, it's black and white. Decisions, if a decision says maybe, then there's nothing to hold on to. A decision is, we're going to do this, we're not going to do that. Like you have an option. Typically, I like to reduce, when it comes to decision making, I like to work very quickly to reduce everything to a yes or a no. Yes or no. And sometimes people have a really hard time navigating between those two extremes. It is an art form. And it's part of spiritual evolution. I truly believe that. The art of decision making. There's a new thing in University of San Francisco, US. Anyway, it's up there like in Palo Alto, Silicon Valley. They have these new courses that are based on the art of decision making. Anyway, Necessary's got some more tips there for you, Karen, okay? This is a tough message. I think you already know and fully understand what the message means, but it's an indication that there's no wiggle room, there's no fuzzy-wuzzy stuff allowed here. You can't bumble your way through, you can't like allow redundant energy to operate, redundant relationships. Gotta cut. Maybe if we had a really deep reading, we'd end up with the Queen of Swords somewhere, but that's another time, okay? All right. There you go, Karen. I hope that helped you. Let's see what happens. I'm going to shuffle it up. Give me a second here, folks. I'm going to do a little bit of homework. And then we're going to shuffle up. All right, here. All right, thank you. So, it's been a pleasure, folks. I'm going to leave it at that. We just had 2 readings. Okay, no worries. We all have lives to live, things to do, places to be, people to see, pets to cuddle, art to do, so on and so on. I'm going to just shuffle it up briefly. Just give me a second here. Okay. All right, so what I think we're going to do is, give me a second, I just want to quickly do a quick cleanup out of here, and then we will move on with life. I know it's dark back at the East Coast in America. Thank you all for being here, of course. It's probably mid-afternoon for Karen in New Zealand. I don't think we had anyone here from Argentina or Libya or England or anywhere like that today. Let's go over here for a second. There we go. Yeah. Okay, I'm just going to check with the chat, see if everybody's okay. It looks like we're good. Yep. Alright, so let's see if I missed anything. No, I think we're good. I think we're good. I love the chats on the side. We cover some very, very quirky, interesting subjects. And this goes over here. Alright, so I'm going to wrap it up with a little piece of music. I'm going to put the astrodoodle out here, and you guys can chat amongst yourselves for a couple moments if you have anything left over to share with each other. Alright, so that's how that's going to look. And yeah, okay. Take care, everyone. Be loving, be loved.